Good evening, folks, and welcome to the 19th edition of Wealthwise with Edelweiss. It's a nice rainy evening today. I hope you have gone home and probably have bundled in with some tea or coffee. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Ms. Shanai Ghosh, the CEO and Executive Director of Edelweiss General Insurance. She is a veteran in the financial banking space. She has been in the industry for more than 2 decades now. And the topic that she would be actually sharing her insights today would be on general insurance, a topic which we have all touched upon earlier, but we may or may not know a little bit. Today, Shanai would be exploring all the avenues of that and telling you why is it important and what is it that you require to make sure that you have the right coverage in all the parts of your life when it comes to insurance. With that, I would like to now bring across Shanai to demystify the health insurance sector and help you make financial decisions to stay protected in the post-COVID era, hopefully. However, please note to our audience, there might be a lag of about 15 to 20 seconds, probably due to the network issues. Request you to kindly bear with us. With this, Shanai, it's all over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Zohar. Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to talk to all of you about health insurance. It's a subject that has gathered a lot of attention in this COVID or post-COVID era, as we call it. Yet, I'm not sure it's as well understood as it should be. And honestly, I think sometimes insurance people are accused of making simple things more complex. So here's my attempt to do the reverse, making a fairly complex thing very simple for you, because that's what you need to know. So this is about all that you need to know about health insurance. And at the end of this 20-25 minutes, I hope that each one of you will understand exactly how important health insurance is, what it does for you, and how to choose the best health insurance for you. So to start with, okay, technology takes a little bit of time to respond. So let me just try and see that I can move on to the other slide.
The slide is live, madam.
Yeah, I know, but it's not moving. I need it to go to the others. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So India is, this is not a surprise. I'm sure a lot of you have heard, at least, maybe not know, but a lot of you would have heard that, India is very underpenetrated when it comes to insurance. And the scene is no different when it comes to health insurance. In the context of health insurance, what do we really mean? We mean that the percentage of healthcare expenses that is borne out of own savings and funds in India is way higher than that in the rest of the world. So just to give you a sense, if 100 rupees is spent in the country, I'm just giving you a sense of it. If 100 rupees is spent in the country for overall health expenses, about 61 to 62% of that is borne out of people's own savings and not out of any health insurance. A large part, 30 odd percent, is borne out of government schemes, and only about 10% through other insurance or other schemes, right? While in the world, this average is 18% only. So you can imagine the level of under-penetration that there is in India. That means so many people could have bought insurance to save, to protect their savings and to protect their savings against financial emergencies born out of medical situations. But because they did not have health insurance, this is the amount of depletion that their financial savings had to see because of healthcare expenses. Now there is a huge gap, and in India we've been trying to close the gap. It's closed somewhat in the last few years. It was 70% odd, I think, a while back, and now it's 61, 62%. But there is a long way to go. In developed markets like US, this number is only about 10, 12%. So you can imagine the amount of, money, personal financial savings that are going towards healthcare expenses that could have otherwise been taken care of through health insurance. In FY19, about 400, and we don't have the numbers for FY20 yet, but approximately you can say about 500 million are covered by any sort of health insurance, which includes government schemes like Ayushman Bharat, and no surprises, the largest number of Indians are actually covered under government schemes. Now, who are these people who are covered? Now, you would understand that if you look at the market in very, very simplistic terms, there is the below poverty line or the really poor segment, and there is the super rich segment, and there is the middle segment, which is middle income, affluent, and maybe mass affluent, not the super rich. The below poverty line is usually covered by government schemes, and the affluent, mass affluent segment is actually the one that wants to avail private healthcare, and very few of them actually have their own health insurance. Some of them are covered by health insurances of their companies if they're salaried, but a lot of them aren't. And this is sort of a middle, this is a sort of middle segment which actually no one is covering, and not even health insurance or government schemes are covering. And this is the target market for private health insurers. If you look at the awareness and appreciation of the importance of health insurance, it's really low. We've done a lot of research in the past to understand why people buy or why they don't buy. Typically, these are the reasons we get. Oh, I'll take it next year. Okay, it's nice to have, but it's not necessarily a must to have in their minds. Some people think that they're young, they don't really need it. Some people say that, oh, I'm healthy, I have no health ailments, I'm very fit, I go, I run every day, etc. So I don't think I'll be needing it. Or I'm single, I'm really young and I don't think I will need it. And some people say I'm covered by my employer. Some people will say I need it only for my parents. So plethora of reasons. Primarily, people didn't perceive that there was an immediate need for health insurance because illnesses and hospitalization happens to someone else, but not to them. So this is the broad perception which was actually responsible for the low appreciation of the importance of health insurance, honestly. But this was BC. BC being before Corona. After COVID or after Corona, health insurance has occupied center stage. The very fact that we are having this conversation probably is proof of the fact that it's occupied center stage. Every regulation, I mean, if I could, on an average, we are getting 3 to 4 regulations every week from IRDAI related to health insurance. That's the level of importance and urgency health insurance has acquired in this post-COVID situation. As an industry, what has this meant? As an industry, we've, as of July 20th, these numbers are as of July 20th, we have received about 57,000 claims. We've received, not all of them have been paid, but we've received 57,000 claims for about 940 crores. And as of now, I'm pretty sure that we probably would have crossed the 1,000 crore mark already. So the number of claims that the industry has received because of COVID-19 is by no means small, and this is probably the largest claim size in terms of health insurance that we've received in a span of 2 to 3 months because of one ailment. So clearly it has been a life-changing event for everyone, and it has been a life-changing event for the industry as well. In terms of interest, obviously, there's a lot of increase in the searches related to health insurance. A lot of data and studies show that there is a 30 to 40% increase in health-related searches. Even some of the biggest web aggregators and comparison websites have said that, the searches have increased many fold. In terms of data, hard data and hard sales, we've actually seen that in the first 3 months of the year, there has been increase of about 24% at an industry level in the amount of insurance purchased by individuals. Now you can imagine during a lockdown situation, people were not traveling, this, that, and the other, but still the industry grew a whopping 24% in this one line of business, which is health insurance bought by individuals. So you can imagine the amount of interest and importance that, you know, health insurance has gathered. In fact, I was having a conversation with another, you know, large digital distributor, and we were chatting and we were saying that no amount of marketing spend could have created the amount of awareness COVID has created for health insurance. So this is clearly a watershed moment in the history of Indian health insurance. Worldwide health insurance penetration rates are already high, but for India, I think COVID has really brought the conversation and around health insurance to the topmost priority in everyone's mind. It has really elevated the entire discussion on health insurance, and for all the other bad things that are happening around us, at least people have understood the importance of health insurance, and now they're not just there's not just intent, they're also taking action. So health insurance, I dare say, for a lot of people has moved from something that is nice to have and should be bought in the future to something that they are actively considering purchasing today. Yet, you know, the understanding continues to be very, very limited. So, you know, the kind of questions that we receive are very surprising, especially in the beginning of the period, you know, March, April, the kind of questions we were receiving from existing customers, from customers who are employees of very large corporations, was very, very surprising to know that there is such little understanding and awareness of health insurance even amongst existing customers. And the biggest question, of course, I'm sure all of you know, the biggest question was, does health insurance cover COVID-19? Now, for industry insiders like us, this was really, really surprising, because we were wondering, how is that even a question? Health insurance means it covers almost every exigency related to health, and COVID-19 is an illness, it's an exigency related to health, and it is covered. But it was surprising that it wasn't covered. So that also, you know, laid out the fact for us that, you know, people don't really understand, even people who've bought health insurance don't really understand what is covered and what is not. And therefore, it was very important that we demystify this entire confusion around health insurance. And at least at Edelweiss General Insurance, we started calling out to all our health insurance customers and telling them proactively, saying that, you know, you have health insurance, but we also wanted to inform you that it covers COVID-19, and health insurance covers every illness ailment unless it's specifically excluded in your policy. And that ended up in us inviting some claims, but that's fine, because that's the purpose of health insurance, to be there for the customer in their most vulnerable moments. And part of that is actually informing and explaining to our customers what health insurance covers. So obviously, like I already said, health insurance does cover COVID-19, and it covers a lot more. So typically, if we look at the types of health insurance, there are two dimensions along which I would like to explain. The coverage is typically either it is a base hospitalization and related medical expense cover. So this is the typical Mediclaim policy that all of us are kind of aware of. Then there is a top-up cover, which is you have a base policy and above a certain level of expense, it covers. So this could be bought by, or this is bought by some people maybe who are covered by their employers up to a certain level, and beyond an expense of that level they want additional cover. So this is a top-up cover. And there are some specific conditions or procedures that are covered. So you would have heard of policies like critical illness policy, which covers critical illnesses listed in the policy. There are policies which are called cancer care policies, which cover cancer related expenses. Then now we have corona policies, which cover COVID-19 related expenses. So there are these three broad type of coverages that you have. And when it comes to the benefit amount, it can either be a reimbursement, which is that whatever you spend on the treatment is actually reimbursed, or it is a fixed lump sum. So if you have this treatment, then you are paid so much. So most common example of this is cancer care. So typically if you're diagnosed with a cancer of a certain level, then a lump sum amount is paid. And this amount is usually paid over and above a reimbursement policy. So if you have a reimbursement policy, typically you have bills of a certain amount, you can't be reimbursed for more than that amount. So even if you have two policies, you can split the bills and say that, okay, half of it can be paid from here, half of it can be paid from the other side. You can't claim for more than the amount you've spent if you have a reimbursement policy. But if you have a fixed benefit policy, that lump sum is payable to you irrespective of the amount you've spent, whether it's more or less. So a lot of people use some lump sum covers along with reimbursement to actually have a supplementary cover. So just imagine that you had you have a regular hospitalization or a Mediclaim cover which covers everything, and you buy a cancer care policy, right? And in the unfortunate instance of anyone being diagnosed with cancer in your family who are covered by these policies, then you could have all the treatment expenses covered by the base Mediclaim or hospitalization policy. But if you also had a cancer care cover which pays a fixed benefit on diagnosis, you could also have that lump sum paid. And there are many other incidental expenses that are incurred when you actually have an illness such as cancer, which are related to travel, stay expenses, etc., which can be covered by these. Sometimes, what also happens is because of cancer, person may not be able to go to work. Beyond a certain time, you get into leave without pay. These kind of fixed benefit policies can also help you cover up for that time, because this is paid irrespective of the cost of the treatment. Now, provided this kind of combination can work only if you have a hospitalization policy that covers all your basic costs of treatment, right? So this is how health insurance universe is divided. Coverage, what it covers, hospitalization top up above a certain amount or a specific illness or procedure, and the benefit amount can be of two types. Either it can be a fixed lump sum on diagnosis or occurrence of a specific instance, or it can be reimbursement of the costs incurred. What does a basic health insurance? So if you look at the baseline and basic health insurance cover, what all does it cover? It essentially covers all hospitalizations. Okay, any hospital incident it covers. Typically, a lot of policies used to insist on 24-hour hospitalization, but now a lot of them don't, because they also, many hospitalization or many procedures are day procedures, so they don't necessarily insist on that. Any associated medical expenses pre and post. So because of this hospitalization, prior to that hospitalization, post that hospitalization, you may have medical expenses, which is medicine, doctor consultation fees, diagnostics, etc. Those are also covered. And some of them even cover OPD or outpatient department expenses. That is, expenses that you have typically in regular medicine or diagnostic or consultation. So some of them even cover this. This is basically the scope of coverage of a regular health insurance policy. But I'm sure more importantly, everyone wants to know what is not covered, because this is where there's most heartburn in health insurance. There are something called exclusions. Okay, now what the IRDAI has done is that they have made sure that the exclusions are limited to what they are allowed. Any and every company can't create any exclusion that they want. So there is a set of exclusions that are permitted, and only those exclusions are allowed under any policy. To give you an example of what could be the exclusion, for instance, cosmetic procedures are not covered. Okay, If you want to go to a spa, that's not covered. If you want to fertility treatments very often are not covered. So these are the typical exclusions that can be permitted in a health insurance product. However, a lot of companies are actually creating policies without these exclusions to get give more exclusive and comprehensive policies to customers. But obviously, once you waive off exclusions, the cost does go up. So that is a balance that every customer has to see for themselves. But these exclusions are important, and typically they are not exclusions that this disease won't be covered, etc., unless it's specified. But these exclusions are things like this, hazardous activities like paragliding, etc., any expenses due to that may not be covered, but some policies may waive off that and you may have to pay. Some have a add-on saying that okay, for additional premium you can cover this also. These are the kind of typical exclusions that are there. It's important for you to read the exclusions whether you read anything else or not. The good news is that, like I said, these exclusions have now been limited by the regulator. You cannot have beyond a finite set of exclusions. Okay. Another thing that the regulator has done, things like there are 16 illnesses. I don't want to go into the details, but there were things like epilepsy and Alzheimer's. So people who had epilepsy, Alzheimer's, etc., they would get rejected at the time of buying health insurance. But what the regulator has done right now is that they have allowed insurers to accept these policies, saying that, okay, you may not pay a claim to an epilepsy patient due to any claim related to epilepsy, but any other ailment, it should be covered. So you can make that a permanent exclusion. But again, there are only 14 or 16 such diseases that are allowed. So everything has been streamlined and specified, and there is no room to be ambiguous in any of the policies and say such as, not limited to. These kind of words are not allowed anymore, and everything that is excluded has to be specified in writing. Specifically this disease, it cannot be diseases like this, only specific disease. So that is good, even though the list may be a little long, maybe 5, 10, maybe even 15, but at least though that list is very specific, there is no room for interpretation and ambiguity there. There is another concept called wait periods. Most of you would have encountered this term, but let me explain to you what wait periods are. So wait periods are typically for the first 30 days. Most health insurance policies will not cover any claim for the first 30 days, any hospitalization claim, any medical claim, unless there's been an accident. This is to prevent, what a concept called moral hazard, that people are buying insurance just to claim. So you're not well, you're going to be hospitalized in the next 1 week, and you buy a policy and you make a claim. If that were the case, then we would get so many claims, we would have to reprice our policies and the premium would go up for customers. So this is to protect against that. People who know that they are going to claim shouldn't be the only ones buying insurance. So typically first 30 days, the claims are not allowed unless it's for an accident. Up to 30, if you have a pre-existing condition, okay, so suppose you have hypertension or you have diabetes, these kind of conditions you already have at the time of taking a claim, then typically up to 36 months, you can't entertain a claim linked to these conditions if you already have these conditions. There are policies that will have waiver of this for additional premium, but like I said, every waiver of a wait period of any condition that you want comes at a cost. But maybe for a person who suffers from hypertension, that cost is worth paying because they want to be covered for the next 30 months. And then there are specific ailments or procedures for which there are wait periods from 90 days to 24 months. Now, these are allowed as per regulation. Some policies may not. This sets the outer limit. So what they basically say is that these kind of conditions, you can have max up to 36 months of waiting period for pre-existing. You cannot have more. You can have less, but you cannot have more. Similarly, there are conditions such as some gallstones or kidney stones. You can have a wait period of 24 months for these specific ailments, but you cannot have more, you cannot have less. There are also conditions, there are for diabetes, hypertension, and I think some cardiac instances. In case these are not pre-existing conditions, there is a wait period of 90 days max. You cannot have more than that. So all these wait periods are the maximum that are permitted. You cannot have more than this amount of wait period in any of the policies. So read these also. What are the various waiting periods that are there? After this waiting period, everything should be excluded. And then some policies will have sublimits. So some will say that, you know, room rent cannot be beyond this amount or cannot be beyond X percentage of the sum insured. So keep that in mind. If you want a room rent, if you want a policy without any room rent cap, so that kind of policy with sublimits will not work for you. And sometimes there are caps for specific procedures. So for instance, cataract, they might, the policy may say you may have a 10 lakh rupee cataract policy, but it may say that you cannot spend more than 10 lakh rupee health insurance policy, but it may say that you can't spend more than 50,000 on a cataract operation. Or otherwise, you could also have a 5 lakh rupee, health insurance policy with no caps at all. Typically, the sublimits, if you have policies with sublimits, the more the sum insured is, sublimit also increases because it is usually a percentage of the overall sum insured. So these are things that are not covered for some time or not covered beyond a point. So these are things that you should look at and make a note of in insurance. Like I said, the good part is there is no ambiguity. It is very specific now. So you will know what is covered and what is not. Okay. And as much as it's important to know what is covered, it's equally important to know what is not covered. And most health insurance policies will come with a 2 or 3 page document that kind of simplifies the entire health insurance policy. So you know exactly what is covered and what's not. So what type of cover should you buy? In my opinion, I think these are the policies that everyone should have, and that should cover you for most of your ailments. One is, like I said, a basic health insurance, which is a basic hospitalization plus maybe an OPD cover. It may have an add-on. Then you should have a top-up. Okay, you should have a top-up that is beyond this basic level of health insurance. And then you should have a critical illness cover. So I'll give you an example. Suppose you have a 10 lakh rupee hospitalization cover, and that should cover your regular hospitalization that you may need. You could also buy a 1 crore top up, which basically means that any instance of hospitalization or treatment that goes beyond the 10 with a 10 lakh exclusion, that goes beyond the 10 lakh amount, you can use this policy to cover. So most of your treatment will be within the 10 lakh rupee limit, but if there is one treatment or one instance that goes to say 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs, then up to 10 lakhs is covered by your base health insurance, and the balance 30-40 lakhs is covered by the top up. That's how the top up works. And a critical illness cover is again a cover that you can have. I would recommend that you have it as a fixed benefit cover in addition to your basic health insurance, because what it gives you is a supplementary cover and can be used for a lot of non-medical treatment related incidental expenses, and also sometimes used as income replacement. Like I said, that if a person is unfortunately diagnosed with cancer, the prognosis for most cancer cases are very good these days. The survival period and the rate both is increasing, but the costs of the treatment are also increasing. And while the costs can be covered by a basic health insurance and a top up, but the income loss during the period of treatment cannot be covered. And policies like a lump sum critical illness policy help you cover that kind of an instance. Now, in terms of priority, I would again go 1, 2, 3 in order of priority. Basic health insurance, absolute must. Top up, and critical illness later on. And towards the end of the presentation, I will give you my 2 bits on why you should buy health insurance now. I have also been asked this. I'm actually talking about all the questions that have been asked in the last 3-4 months. And I can assure you I've been asked more about health insurance in the last 3 months than I have been in 20 years. So clearly health insurance is very, very important now in everyone's mind. This is one of the biggest questions. First question was, does our policy cover for people who already have health insurance? It was, does our policy cover COVID? And the next question was when, we started having corona specific policies, saying, should I buy this policy or not? So the answer is that answer is for two people. Okay, either you already have an existing health insurance policy or you don't have an existing health insurance policy. If you have a health insurance policy and let's say it's a base policy of say 3 or 5 lakhs, you could buy this as a supplementary cover. What this will do is that if you buy Corona Rakshak, which is a fixed benefit cover, what it will do is that if you're diagnosed or the person covered is diagnosed, then you get a lump sum amount and you can use that. Corona Kavach, which is a reimbursement cover, if you are diagnosed with COVID and you have to be hospitalized because of that, or you have home care treatment, you can make the claim under that policy and not disturb your base health insurance, which can continue with all its no claim bonus, etc. So as a supplementary cover, you can buy it. Now, suppose you don't have health insurance and you want to buy something quickly. Okay, this is offered by all health insurance and all general insurance companies, and the premiums are wide ranging and there is an affordable range of premiums. So it is a quick way to get coverage for COVID-19 in a very, very affordable manner. So you want to buy something immediately, you can go in for this. Having said that, please do not assume that this covers this is all and this is sufficient as health insurance cover. This is only the starting point. Please definitely buy a health insurance cover as and when it's affordable for you. If you can afford a proper health insurance cover, which ranges anywhere between maybe 5 to 10,000 depending on the cover and your age, etc. For a 30-year-old, it will probably be, for a family, etc. It will be in the range of 6 to 8,000 or 6 to 9,000 depending on the kind of cover that you're buying. If you can afford, I would always recommend that buy a basic health insurance, and then if you want, you can buy this as a supplementary. But if you find that it's difficult to go into and buy a proper full-blown health insurance, you can buy this as an interim cover. But please upgrade to a proper health insurance if you don't have it already. There are two policies that the government has brought out. Okay, which is sorry, the heading is actually wrong. This is Corona Kavach. So Corona Kavach is not a fixed benefit policy. Actually, it's a reimbursement policy. So Corona Kavach, it's not Corona Rakshak, sorry. It's Corona Kavach, which is a reimbursement policy. And what all does it cover? It covers hospitalization expenses that you will incur because of COVID-19 diagnosis, home care. A lot of us must be aware that our home care packages that are available from leading hospitals, and home care up to 14 days is covered, but provided you take that home care package and there is someone monitoring the condition every day. It also covers Ayush treatment. Pre-hospitalization and post-hospitalization of 50 and 30 days is covered. This is the mandatory cover. In case you want, you can also buy an additional hospital cash allowance. There's a fixed amount per day of hospitalization, which is linked to the sum insured that you buy, which can be purchased, which can be bought as an option. what is the condition for claim that you need to satisfy? One is that, of course, the COVID positive diagnosis has to be from an authorized lab. The other is you should have been hospitalized for 24 hours. That is what is required to make this claim. This, of course, can be cashless as well. The other details are, tenure. Unlike the regular health insurance policy, which ranges anywhere between 1 to 3 years, the tenure is short term here. You can have a 3.5 months, 6.5 months, and 9.5 months policy. Why the half month of 15 days? Because there's a wait period of 15 days. So anyone who has been exposed to a person and knows and shouldn't be able to take advantage of the situation. So you have a wait period of 15 days. After that, any claim is admissible. It's short term because the understanding and expectation is that COVID is a short term, the instance or incidence of COVID will be very high over the next 9 months, and after that may not be, or at any point of time, you may not need more than a 9-month policy. The sum insured ranges between 50,000 to 5 lakhs. You can buy any amount between this. And the age limit for people who can buy, anyone between 18 to 65 can buy. The other is, it's got, like I said, it's got interchange. This is Corona Rakshak, which is a fixed benefit policy. And there is a fixed lump sum payout. So whatever your sum insured is paid out as a lump sum. But the condition for claim is slightly different. Of course, you have to be diagnosed COVID positive, but you have to be hospitalized for 72 hours. So here you can see that, home care is not covered. So in case you are in a situation where you envisage that you will need support only if you get hospitalized, then maybe this policy is the one for you. Or if you are in a you think that you may take treatment at home and you'll be able to self-isolate at home should the need arise, then Corona Kavach is the right policy. Again, the numbers, the other details remain the same. The only thing is sum insured here is only 50,000 to 2.5. In Corona Kavach, it was 50,000 to 5 lakhs. Again, just clarifying, this is the fixed benefit policy is the Corona Rakshak policy, and the reimbursement policy is the Corona Kavach policy, right? Recent regulatory changes, like I said, the regulator has been really busy last year and in the last 3 months, especially on health insurance related claims and product details, etc. So they have made a lot of changes in the recent 12 months where the health insurance products in India have become even more customer friendly. One is pre-existing disease. So pre-existing disease, only if a customer is diagnosed and made aware of it. So a lot of people may probably have hypertension or diabetes but may not be aware of it. Okay, so that cannot be called a pre-existing condition. So if 4 months into their policy they find that they have, or even 1 month into the policy they find that they've been diagnosed, you cannot call it a pre-existing condition. There are restrictions, like I said, there are restrictions on exclusions. Earlier, any mental illness claim, for instance, would be excluded. So if you had a mental illness claim under the policy, it would not be payable. Just like I said, cosmetic procedures, etc. are not paid. Mental illness was in that category. But the IRDA has introduced a regulation that disallows some illnesses from being excluded. Mental illness is one of them. HIV is a topic of hot debate between the regulator and the industry. We are not really sure whether it can be excluded or not. The regulator doesn't want us to exclude any HIV claims. Similarly, congenital disorders earlier were things that, insurers would say that all claims except congenital disorders are payable. Regulators disallowed that also, and they said you cannot exclude congenital. So they have made a lot of restrictions on exclusions. They have limited it, and only those exclusions are allowed, nothing more. Telemedicine is covered. Again, this is a recent development because of coronavirus. A lot of non-COVID treatment was forced to go remote, and telemedicine, there were telemedicine guidelines that came up. So now the regulator has also made sure and told us to include telemedicine wherever an OPD consultation or any kind of consultation was covered. In any insurance, there will be some parts of the insurance that are non-payable. For instance, if you have a room rent that is allowed up to say 5,000 rupees per room, that is a kind of limit that your policy has, and you want to go for a room rent which is 10,000, most of you would be aware that all the other payables associated with the treatment also increase in proportion. So the doctor fees increases, the consultation, everything increases. And this kind of proportionate reduction is not allowed. So all of those are paid, have to be paid on actuals. Any kind of pharmacy, any kind of other diagnostic, etc., has to be paid on actuals. You cannot reduce it just because the customer has gone for a higher category of room. Earlier it used to be reduced, it was practice. Also ICU, there is no deduction in ICU charges because ICU is only one category. So even if your room rent is lower, it cannot be deducted, any kind of things. And like I said, no ambiguous statements in contracts. So you cannot say such as this but not limited to. All of these are just not allowed. It's either there or it's not there. There is no room for ambiguity and confusion in the customer's mind. That is a mandate from the regulator. And therefore, the right time to buy health insurance, if you don't already have it, is now. Because a few things, and I feel very, very strongly about this, Indian regulations offer guaranteed renewability for life. What does this really mean? As health insurers, we underwrite, or rather we take the decision to accept or not accept the policy. That decision can be taken only once. Once we have taken that decision, we have to renew that policy for the life of the customer. We can never refuse to renew the policy irrespective of the number and amount of claims that we have. So suppose a person buys a 10 lakh rupee policy from us today, or 5 lakh rupee policy, and makes and has claim free say 5 years, okay, and after the 5th year there is a claim. We cannot say that, oh, now the 5th year claim is so big that it covers more than the premium of the previous 5 years. It's not up to the insurer, and insurer cannot refuse to renew the policy after that. So another example would be a person has bought a policy for 2-3 years, no claim. 3rd year, maybe the person had a heart attack or some kind of cardiac incident, got treated. After that, and maybe the claim was big in that year, and typically health insurance premiums do not exceed beyond a few thousands, or 15-20,000, depending on your sum insured and your age and the size of your family. But claims are rarely in this range. Claims are much more. So typically, if you make a claim in a year, it will definitely exceed your health insurance premium. But the health insurer, once they've accepted the policy, they have to renew it for life, as long as you want to renew it. Also, after 8 years, suppose you've bought a policy, after 8 years, claim cannot be rejected under any count except fraud. Most policies offer no claim bonus. So suppose you have a policy and you are you don't make a claim. A lot of us don't. You will have a no claim bonus. You can port your policy to another insurer. Suppose you're not happy with the service of one insurer, you can port your policy with all the continuous continuity factors. That means you have a wait period of say 24 months for some kind of claim. You've spent 12 months in one policy, only the balance 12 months will be counted. The clock doesn't get reset. And medical costs are rising at 2x the inflation in India. So there is no reason to postpone this decision. And the sooner you enter, the better it is. One, the claim, the rates are much better as you're younger. When you're younger, you don't really need you don't really expect to have health incidents. You may have, but you don't really expect to have. But as you grow older, the probability of having those health incidents increases. So if you buy it young, by the time you really need it, all your wait periods, etc., are done. And under no circumstance can your claim have any issue going forward. So get it now, make sure you have it. You'll have a life insurance, health insurance policy for life, and especially when you really need it, when you get older. Health insurance requires you to have a little bit of foresight, because I bought my health insurance maybe 10 years ago, honestly, not very long ago, 10 years ago before that. But now I make sure, and I haven't claimed, thankfully, but I make sure that I renew every year, because when I'm 60 or 60 plus, I'm likely to need it. And at that point of time, under no circumstance can any of my claims be rejected. So that is, that is the kind of visibility that you need to create for yourself when you're thinking about health insurance. So imagine a 30-year-old buying health insurance today, 4 years or 5 years down the line when he's 35 plus, nothing, no claim can be rejected. And after 8 years, nothing. So all his wait periods, even if he's got hypertension, etc., by the time he's 33, all hypertension related wait periods will be over. So you cannot, so the sooner you buy, the better it is for you, because when you need it, you will be able to make all claims. And when you are buying a health insurance premium policy, there are many things to be kept in mind, and not just the premium. Unfortunately, a lot of people consider premium, and the cheapest is not the best, really, not in health insurance for sure. Look at the waiting periods, the lesser the better, obviously. Sublimits, ideally you would want a policy with no limits, but it comes at a cost, and decide which one is the right, what is the trade-off, what kind of limits are you okay with, and what kind of costs are you okay with. Look at the network of hospitals that the health insurance policy offers, especially in your vicinity. What is the kind of pre and post hospitalization expenses covered? The longer the better, because there are incidental expenses associated with a hospitalization. What are the exclusions? No, it's completely intuitive that lesser the better. And again, it should be unambiguous. There should be no confusion around what is excluded. So you should completely understand, and it should be ideally limited. And what you can do is use copay to reduce the premium. So suppose you have a policy with 0% copay. That means every policy, every claim will be 100% paid by the insurer. Vis-a-vis a policy where you say that for every claim I will pay 10% or I will pay 20%, then your premium reduces. So these are things that you can do to reduce your premium. So you could go for a policy which probably has no sublimits and lesser waiting periods, lesser exclusions, and so on and so forth, but you could use copay to reduce the premium. So these are things that you have to keep in mind when you're buying a health insurance premium, health insurance policy. But please, if you already don't have a health insurance policy, please buy it immediately. It is the most important policy that you need today. Health really is wealth, and health insurance also helps you save your wealth. So please go ahead and buy a health insurance policy today. And with that, I come to the end of my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have, or things that I have triggered with my presentation. So I'll be happy to answer any of your questions and doubts now. Zohar, over to you.
Thank you, Shania. Thank you. That was quite informative. Let's jump into the questions. To the audience, since some of the questions might be repetitive, and to save time and answer more questions, we would be bundling a couple of questions so that Shania can have a chance to answer them and move forward. Right. So Shania, coming back to the first question, we have a couple of questions that have come on COVID. Some of the questions you have answered in your presentation itself while you were explaining why COVID policies are required and what are the kind of parameters there. But a couple of things that they would like to know is, uh, if I see, what are the waiting periods for COVID-19, since the first 7 days are very critical to get diagnosed. Is this wait period for COVID policies and other policies almost same, and is it same across the industry? And the third part of the question is, if, and this is actually a specific question to one of the audience who asked, if I'm diagnosed as COVID positive, can I claim reimbursement for the test expenses insured? A family member is undergoing treatment at home for COVID-19. Can I claim for reimbursement of expenses occurred? If yes, what are the expenses that are covered under home care? These are the three questions on COVID right now. Your response?
So the first question around wait period, like I mentioned, the wait period is 15 days. This is standard across the industry because the same product is, this is a product designed and offered through the by the regulator. So the same product structure is across all companies. Everyone is offering 15-day, not less than 15-day wait period. So that remains the same. The second question was if diagnostic is covered, right? That's the second question, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in Corona Kavach policy, which is a reimbursement policy, you would have noticed that pre and post hospitalization expenses are covered. So in case you get hospitalized and you are diagnosed, in case you get hospitalized, and in that instance, diagnostic costs are also covered in case you get hospitalized. If you were to buy, so in both instances, both in the instance of Corona Kavach as well as in the instance of Corona Rakshak, which is a fixed benefit policy, hospitalization is necessary to get the diagnostic test covered. However, for home care, it is covered under Corona Kavach policy. And in home care, doctor consultations, medicines, all kinds of equipment, etc., those kind of packages. So typically, if you would have seen home care packages that are offered by hospitals, those are typically, those kind of things are covered under home care. Provided you are able to show that there is continuous monitoring and someone it's under medical supervision and someone is actually doing daily monitoring of the condition of the patient. And this is for a maximum of 14 days that home care is covered. So if you have home care for 30 days, that's not covered. Home care up to 14 days is covered. Did I answer all the questions, Zohar?
Yes, Shanai. Thank you so much. Yeah. There are a couple of questions which have
one question, one point I would like. There are health insurance policies that have OPD covered or outpatient treatment covered. If you have such a policy, then you could have diagnostic test covered. So check whether OPD is covered in your health insurance policy if you have a standalone health insurance policy.
So basically looking at what exactly is being written in the offer document.
If outpatient department expenses or outpatient expenses are covered in your health insurance policy, not the Corona ones, but the other health insurance policy, then you could cover COVID charges. But in Corona policy, if you're hospitalized under Kavach, you can cover diagnostic under pre-hospitalization. Under Rakshak, you can't cover. Home care is also covered under Kavach.
Fair enough. So question to back up on that. A person would like to know, one of our audiences would like to know the difference between the Corona Rakshak and the Kavach policies and the other regular Mediclaim policies that one buys. The question being that doesn't a Mediclaim policy always cover anything from hospitalization to test to ambulance, and is it applicable to the Corona or a COVID-19 treatment as well?
Yes, a regular, like that's what I mentioned first. If you have a standalone and a regular health insurance policy, it will cover COVID-19. I am not sure if all policies will cover home care, but it will definitely cover hospitalization and related expenses like, tests and ambulance should cover. Most policies should cover that. If you don't have a regular health insurance policy, then you could use this as supplementary coverage. So the first answer is a standard health insurance policy covers all ailments, including COVID-19. Okay, so that's a superset. COVID-19 or Corona Rakshak or Corona Kavach policies cover only COVID-19 hospitalization. Corona Kavach is a reimbursement policy, which means that the cost of hospitalization is reimbursed based on your expenses. Okay. You can also get home care under Corona Kavach. So suppose you choose not to go to the hospital and you choose to recuperate at home, and you take medical advice and guidance of any of these hospital packages that monitor your what do you call that, SpO2 levels, etc. at home. That kind of package up to duration of 14 days is something that you can cover under Kavach. I'm only talking about Kavach right now. And under Kavach, you can also get a daily hospital allowance if you're hospitalized, but that's not so important. Under Kavach, you can get sum insured of anywhere between 50,000 to 5 lakhs. And you need to be hospitalized for a minimum of 24 hours to claim, Corona Kavach cover for hospitalization. Otherwise, you need home care. For Corona Rakshak, it's a fixed benefit policy. You get lump sum payment. It is not related to the expense that you've incurred during the treatment. The sum insured or the coverage ranges between 50,000 to 2.5 lakhs. In this case, to be eligible to claim this lump sum benefit, you have to have been hospitalized for a continuous period of 72 hours. So suppose you're hospitalized for 72 hours, then you can make a claim, and suppose you have a 2.5 lakh sum insured, you will get that claim paid 2.5 lakhs, even if you spend only 1.5 lakhs in your actual hospitalization. So that is Corona Rakshak for you. Both policies have 3 durations, 3.5 months, 6.5 months, 9.5 months, and both policies have a 15-day wait period. So if you buy a policy, say on August 10th, you cannot make a claim, before August 26th or 25th, 15 days, inclusive of the first day.
Thank you so much, Shanam. During this particular pandemic, it has been seen that the virus has normally affected people above a certain age. And that has been a rising concern amongst our audience as well. There are a couple of questions which are actually coming to that, due to which one of the questions, and I'm bundling these couple of questions. They wanted to know what are your views on policies or health insurance policies for senior citizens, and if there is COVID-19 policy, if you're looking for a senior citizen, what are the kind of COVID-19 policy that you would suggest for a senior citizen, minus Corona, or with or without?
So unfortunately, for real senior citizens, you would have seen in my presentation that the age limit is 65 years under these 2 Corona policies, right? So it cannot, if you're above 65, you can't buy this policy, you can't get covered by this policy. But there are senior citizen policies in the market which cover senior citizens above 65 also. Unfortunately, there aren't too many of those, but there are those policies. You can find it online, and typically they are a little expensive, and they have fairly high amount of co-payment, but it ranges between 20 to even higher, or 20% to higher. So what co-payment means is that any incidence of claim, that is a percentage the customer has to bear themselves, and the balance will be paid by insurance. However, there are such policies in the market. Most of these policies will have a 30-day wait period. So it's only after 30 days that you will be able to make a claim on any of these policies. However, if you are employed or salaried, typically you should be able to get cover for your parents under your group health insurance. So even SMEs, for instance, can buy. Group health insurance is actually a very good platform to give very flexible cover to employees and their parents and dependents, because you can customize the cover and you can waive off a lot of waiting periods, and you can include parents also. So for instance, in our company, you would most employees would know that our parents are covered. We can cover two of our parents or in-laws, whatever the case may be. So that's another option of covering parents. Having said that, I agree this is a concern, and while there are policies, there aren't enough and they are expensive. But please do buy. If you're concerned, I would suggest, and if you can afford it, buy a policy for your parent or parents. There is a 30-day wait period and there may be a co-payment of some sort, but try and see what is the best option available out there for you and buy it, because it's better to have your parents covered than not.
Thank you so much. Gopal Naidu is asking, Madam, many companies are coming with short-time insurances for the period of 285 days. I'm sorry. Is that a good option that we should look at?
When it comes to health insurance, health ailments never come with a expiry time, so 285 days at best can be a stopgap or an interim arrangement. Like I said, you want to just, you want just to tide over just for COVID. And I would think that typically this is coming out, these kind of policies are addressing one specific ailment or one specific instance. If I was to guess, maybe these are COVID related insurances that are coming out, and they are targeted only at covering COVID related expenses for the period of 285 days. So if your objective is to cover only COVID, and you could go for this, but eventually I don't know how long COVID is going to last. You may have to renew it. So if you can afford it, my advice would always be to buy a standalone health insurance policy that covers everything, including COVID. Of course, that has a 30-day wait period. So if you feel that you're vulnerable and you would want a shorter wait period, you could buy a COVID policy in the interim, but definitely buy a regular health insurance policy, because there are ailments beyond coronavirus or COVID-19 that can happen, and that can happen at any point of time and not just in the next 285 days.
Thank you, Shanai. I'm moving on to the last couple of questions right now. These are a couple of questions which are not exactly to do with COVID, but on the larger health insurance aspects. One of our audience, by Sandesh, has actually asked, can health insurance support wealth creation in any way? Is it a money saving tool? And follow-up question on that by another person from our audience is, 1 minute. What is the ideal age that you should probably think about buying health insurance? And what are the parameters or the things that you need to keep in mind while doing that?
So, first of all, the question is whether it's a wealth creation. I would say it's a wealth protection tool, because if you don't have health insurance, then your wealth will be attacked if there's a medical emergency. So this is a solution that protects your wealth in case of medical emergencies. Just think about it, okay? You are buying a Corona Kavach policy or Corona Rakshak, whatever policy, for about 3,000 bucks, okay? And you're getting a sum insured of 1.5 to 2.5 lakhs. And there is an instance, an average hospitalization is costing anywhere in the urban areas I'm talking about between 1.5 to 2 lakhs. That amount would have hit your savings right away, and because you have an insurance, it is not going to. So I would call it a wealth protection solution, not a wealth creation solution. There's a So you don't create wealth, but you definitely protect the wealth that has been created. And that is very, very important, especially in today's day and age. What you've created, you want to protect that, right? So that would be the way I would look at it. And what was the other question? What was the other question? What should you buy? What was
The
it?
other question was basically was a much more generic question that if you're buying health insurance, what
What
should be
age?
the ideal
Okay.
age of getting into health insurance, and what are the kind of things that you need to be mindful of?
I would say that the sooner the better, because even if you're 25 and earning I mean, you start earning, I'm saying, even if you're 25 and earning, oh, okay, you buy it, and you will be covered for life, okay. So I would say the sooner the better. The moment you start earning, make sure health insurance is the first policy you buy. I would say that health insurance, because health insurance protects you. As when you're young, you also can't have you don't have so much savings, so you don't want to run back to your parents if you have any medical emergency. You could, while illnesses are not common, accidents could happen. So it's always better, and the cost is going to be so minimal that it will probably be the cost of one dinner that these people spend on. So it's going to be that affordable. So I would say sooner the better. That's the ideal situation. But if not there, then I would definitely say that you should buy it definitely before 30. Definitely before 30, you should buy it. I would say that even 25 is not too young. You should buy definitely before 30. And it also depends on if you have any dependents that you have to take care of. So if you have parents who would rely on you for medical care, or you are married, or you I would definitely suggest that you take health insurance then. And in terms of what you keep in mind, like I said, depending on what kind of whether you have parents or not, you should look at things like what are the exclusions. Okay, what is the wait period? Um, suppose you have hypertension, or someone in your family has hypertension. You would want pre-existing condition wait period to be limited, because you would want coverage. So look at the wait period for pre-existing condition. Look at the wait period for specific procedures and illnesses. Okay, and then look at the sublimits. What are there caps on room rent? Is that okay with you? What is the kind of hospital you want to go to? So some people may be okay with a room rent cap of say 5,000-6,000, because it meets the small private nursing home that they would be comfortable going. Some people may want to go to a Breach Candy where it may not meet. So that kind of whether you want a room rent capping or not. And lastly, look at the copay. If you're okay with a higher copay and a low premium, that's something, because you don't think that the instances of claims will be often. So there are the points that I mentioned, Zohar, in my mail. But most important, I think, is to look at the exclusions and the wait periods. I would say those are the most important things that you should look at, because this is what
Right.
causes exclusions, wait periods, and sublimits. This is what causes most of the heartburn. So I would say look at these, and you should be comfortable with what is suggested. There are different, like I said, that a person who doesn't have any pre-existing condition may be okay with 36 months, a policy that has 36 months for pre-existing condition, because he or she doesn't have any. But a person who has diabetes or maybe hypertension may want a policy that limits that period. So these are things that you have to keep in mind when you are actually buying a health insurance policy. Of course, the brand, the company should be comfortable with all of that, the network of hospitals, all of this is hygiene, but these are few things that are a little different from company to company too. So just keep that in mind.
All right, Chennai. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of the audience questions. Shana, any closing remarks that you would like to leave with our audience?
I think I've made a huge pitch for health insurance already, but I genuinely believe that the importance of health insurance cannot be overstated. And unfortunately, we realize it as we grow older, by which time either it becomes expensive, or there are wait periods, or I would want hypertension to be covered from day one, or that. So don't wait till that point of time. Okay, start the right. If you don't have it, the only message that I would like people to take from here is, if you don't have health insurance already, please buy it today. That is very, very important. Please buy it today. You can't go back and buy it, but buy it today at least. And if you have health insurance, please go back and look at your policy once. I know it's it's not a very, nice task, but look at it, at least look at what is the excluded and what are the wait periods, so that you are comfortable and you know what is not covered in your policy. So this is my last message to anyone who's on the webinar.
Thank you, Shania. Thank you so much for your insightful discussion. I'm sure our audience has found this of significant value and will gain from this experience. To our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to having you all join us back again next week. Till then, stay home, stay safe, and stay calm. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Zohar. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.